Gopi Janna Balaba Girivaradhari Gopi Janna Balaba Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Gopi Janamala Giri Paradhari Gopi Janamala Giri Paradhari Yashodanandana Panchajanmaranjana Yashodanandana Panchajanmaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopipati Jaya Radha Madhava Gopipati Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shirate Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Shirate Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Oh Premanandi So we're reading from Srila Prabhupada's Leelamrita. You might switch on the light, please. Oops. We're starting a new chapter today, chapter 35. This remote corner of the world. Although Srila Prabhupada had been away from America for a year, his Krishna consciousness movement had flourished. By Krishna's grace and the devotees' attachment for him had grown. His disciples, having heard reports and seen photos of his triumphant tour of India, had felt inspired to increase their own preaching. In each American center, new devotees had been joining and were learning Prabhupada's teachings from the senior devotees. Already accepting Srila Prabhupada as their spiritual master, hundreds of newcomers were eagerly awaiting initiation. How different from Prabhupada's first arrival in America, alone in 1965. Walking the cold streets with no money and no temple, he had been ignored. Sometimes he had thought of quitting, taking a boat back to India, but he had maintained absolute faith. And now, less than 6 years later, in dozens of ISKCON centers throughout America, hundreds of disciples worshipped him and would throng ecstatically to receive him. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sarvasastra-piyusha, sarvavaidika-sattvala, sarvasiddhanta-ratnadya, sarvalokaikatrikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular food of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Shrimad Bhagavata Prabhu, Kalitvanto Dita, Ditya, Shri Krishna Parvatata. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Shrimad Bhagavatam. You are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Premavarshaksharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishna Namostume. I bow down to you who is supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable and a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone, for you are Sri Krishna himself. Adekapando Matsangin Maguru Mamahadana Manisaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asaru Saruta Dayin Ati Nishashtakara Hanamanjagada Chinmam Premyaritkandayospara. O bestow saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalted the mortal fallen. Please never leave me, always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Gantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 14, entitled The Forest of Enjoyment. Text number 37. So this is prose. Evam vita vyatishanga vivrita vairani pipurvavasanaya mita udvahat yatha bhavati. Evam, in this way, vita vyatishanga, because of monetary transactions, vivrita, increased, vaira, anubandha, having relationships of enmity, api, although, purvavasanaya, by the fructifying results of previous pious activities, mita, with each other, udvahati, become united by means of the marriage of sons and daughters. Ata, thereafter, apavahati, they give up the marriage or get divorce. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Although people may be enemies, in order to fulfill their desires again and again, they sometimes get married. Unfortunately, these marriages do not last very long, and the people involved are separated again by divorce or other means. Purport. As stated previously, every conditioned soul has the propensity to cheat, even in marriage. Everywhere in this material world, the conditioned soul is envious of another. For the time being, people may remain friends, but eventually they become enemies again and fight over money. Sometimes they marry and then separate by divorce or other means. On the whole, unity is never permanent. Due to the cheating propensity, both parties always remain envious. Even in Krishna consciousness, separation and enmity take place due to the prominence of material propensities. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnanatimirandasya Karanjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangun Lagaite Garim Yakripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today is actually a very auspicious day on the Vaishnav calendar. It is Purnima. It's the last day of Kartik. Many devotees will be finishing their Kartik Vrata today. The last day of Bhishma Panchak. It is also the disappearance day of Pugarbha Goswami, the disappearance day of Kashishvara Pandit, the appearance day of Nimbarkacharya. It is also Tulsi and Shalagram Vivaha, and it is also Sri Krishna Rasa Yatra. So we won't speak on all of these today, but we will speak on a couple at the end of class. First, we will hear something in relation to today's verse and purport. So, so today's verse explains about the about how people in material existence, man and woman, they come together in marriage for many different reasons, but ultimately, the marriage does not last. So we see in today's world that men and women, they get married for so many different reasons, so many ulterior motives, rather than to bring up a God-conscious family. You know, people get married for visa purposes, isn't it? You know, you want to get permanent residency somewhere, you just marry marry a local. And people get married, of course, for money. That's quite a common one. For ladies, you know, they're known as gold diggers, right? You know, ladies, they search out a man, a wealthy man, lots of money, marry him, and then divorce, and they take half of his money away. 50% immediately. It's a very profitable profession. Some people, of course, many get married based purely on the looks of the other person, whether the person has beautiful bodily features. You know, doesn't matter what their character is like, but as long as they look good, then that's good enough for me. And generally, these are the one of the most short-lived marriages, for like a passionate fling, and there's many stories about, a boy and girl meeting, and then they go to Las Vegas and get married. And they've known each other for like a weekend or something, and then they get married the next week. It's ridiculous. And yeah, these marriages, they have, because they have no substance to them, they do not last. It is said that the first sign of love is duty. That if a marriage is to actually last, then the both the husband and the wife, they should feel duty bound to each other. No matter what happens, it is my duty to serve my husband. It is my duty to serve my wife. And this is like the glue, that keeps the marriage together. Otherwise, it's like, what's the point? Why should I go through all this trouble? Why should I go through all this austerity? Because certainly marriage can be an austerity. So, Srila Prabhupada, it says in this purport today that, oh no, it's in the verse, that people, they're separated or separated again by divorce or other means. So I was thinking that this other means would probably mean death. That it's known that, as I mentioned, that women, they or not only women, but men also marry the opposite sex for money. And it's very convenient when the other person has died, and they have a hefty inheritance to acquire. It is, history has shown that, yes, both men and women, they have killed their husbands or wives to inherit their wealth and then run off with someone else. So in today's purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about the cheating propensity and envy. They're actually very intimately connected. We find in the fourth canto, chapter 19, that Prithu Maharaj, he is performing 100 Ashvamedha Yagyas, 100 horse sacrifices. And Indra, he has previously already performed 100 horse sacrifices. And he sees that Maharaj Prithu, he is trying to equal my status. He is trying to acquire my position. Therefore, Indra became so envious of Prithu Maharaj that he stooped to the most abominable position of stealing the one of the horses that was meant to be sacrificed. So his envy just shone through, in this way. And as a result of performing this abominable activity, then he, Maharaj Prithu's son, on the command of Atri Muni saw that Indra had stolen the horse for the sacrifice. So he told Prithvi Maharaja's son, go and kill Indra and bring back that horse. So Prithvi Maharaja's son, he runs off after Indra, and then he's ready to kill Indra, and then Indra turns around and he's wearing the garb of a sannyasi, of a sadhu. So Prithvi Maharaja's son, he's like, no, I'm not going to kill a sadhu. So he went back, and Atri Muni told Prithvi Maharaja's son, what are you doing? That's Indra in disguise. So it's explained that Indra, not only did he manifest his envy through stealing the horse, but then the propensity to cheat, to save his own life, fully became manifest. And by his disguise as a fraudulent sadhu. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purports around there how it is that since the time that Indra falsely dressed as a sadhu, since that time, then people have also been imposters and also dressed up as sadhus and swamis just to earn a livelihood. And this is a very sad state of affairs, that people are willing to use the garb of a sannyasi for their own sustenance, for their own sense gratification, actually. So, Srila Prabhupada also mentions in the purport the qualification of a genuine sannyasi. The very first qualification of a genuine sannyasi is that he has to be very, very sincere, and he has to be very, very serious. If these two things aren't there, then forget it. But of course, there's so many other qualifications as well. So, yes, this propensity to cheat and envy. Prabhupada says in the purport to the second verse of the 19th chapter in the 4th canto, he says that one cannot make any advancement in Krishna consciousness if one is envious. One cannot make any advancement in Krishna consciousness if they are envious. So this is a very, very important point for us to hear, that if envy is residing within our heart, we cannot make any spiritual advancement. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada is alluding to the point that we have to be very, very diligent to remove envy from the heart. We hear in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Nirmatsaranam Satam. That this literature, this Srimad Bhagavatam, is for those whose hearts are completely free from envy. So this is such an important point that it cannot be stressed enough, that envy has to be removed from the heart in order for us to make advancements. Krishna confirms this in the 67th verse of the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He says, Idam te na tapaskaya, na bhaktaya kadachana, na cha shushushave vachyam, na cha mamyo pyasuyati. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. So, if someone is envious of Krishna or his parts and parcels, then there is no chance of making advancements. Myself personally have experienced the most effective way to remove envy from the heart is to approach the person that you are envious of. You approach them with all humility. You fold your palms together and you say, "My dear Prabhu, how may I serve you? How may I engage in your service?" And this is the most powerful way. Bestow mercy. Their heart will soften and they will bestow mercy upon you. And Krishna takes, it is certainly an austerity to do that. It is extremely difficult to approach someone who you envy, and fully submit to them. Prabhu, how may I serve you? It's not an easy thing to do, but the results are very, very powerful. Krishna really takes note. So there is being envious of others, but as also is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there is the propensity to also be envious of our very own selves. That the jiva's rightful claim is that of love for Krishna. And to deprive ourselves of that right of attaining Krishna prema, that is envy. So anything that distracts us from attaining this golden life, we are actually envious of our very selves. We are performing harm, self-harm. This is the worst kind of self-harm. That we are keeping the living entity, keeping the soul in material existence. So, from today's verse and purport, we can understand that if envy is removed from the heart, we can be honest and straightforward with others and with ourselves. The cheating propensity will be greatly diminished. And in that way, we can actually make advancement and understand. Krishna will reveal himself to us in that way. So I'd like to just speak briefly on a couple of these events that are taking place today. The disappearance day of Bhugarbha Goswami. Bhugarbha Goswami, his Siddha Rupa is Prema Manjari in Krishna Lila. And he, one cannot speak about Bhugarbha Goswami without mentioning Lokanath Goswami, because these two is described, they were like one soul in two bodies. They were so intimately connected in friendship and love. Actually, some say that Bhugarbha Goswami was the paternal uncle of Lokanath Goswami. So these two great Vaishnavas, these two great sadhus, they were associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lokanath Goswami was given the instruction by Mahaprabhu to go to Vrindavan, and Bhugarbha Goswami also went with him. And they used to roam the forests of Vrindavan, visiting the various tirthas of Krishna's Leela, Krishna's pastimes. In this way, they were relishing each other's association. So today is also Sri Krishna Rasa Yatra, the day of the Rasa Leela. So it is very interesting to note how we find that in every temple in our movement, in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, on Purnima, Radha and Krishna are always dressed in white. There is a reason behind that. So when Krishna is in the forest of Vrindavan and he plays his flute, the sound vibration of his flute, as we know, when heard by the ears of the gopis, they become completely mad and drop all their dharma, their household activities. They give up their families, they give up, everything, and drop what they're doing, and immediately they run into the forest to be with Krishna. So Radharani, she dresses according to the occasion. When it is Purnima, it is very bright outside. So Radharani, she dresses completely in white for camouflage. This is her camouflage so she does not get detected by the residents of Vrindavan seeing her, possibly seeing her run off into the forest. Similarly, on a dark moon night, she dresses in black. So when she runs off into the forest to be with Krishna, she cannot be detected by the residents of Vrindavan. So His Holiness Srila Shiv Ram Swami quotes from one of Kavikana Prabhu's books, in his book called Chant More, that when the gopis arrived at the Rasa Mandala, the place of the Rasa dance, it's described they were in complete and utter ecstasy to be with Krishna. And it's described how they raised their arms in the air and they were swaying from side to side, placing their left foot in front of their right foot and their right foot in front of their left foot. Does this sound familiar? My dear Prabhus and Matajis, this is the Swami step. This is the most authorized dance step that Srila Prabhupada has taught us. This dance step is coming from the Vraja Devis before they engaged in Rasalila. Therefore, what a wonderful meditation is this for us when we are standing there in kirtan, practicing. This is our sadhana. What was Srila Prabhupada giving us? What was he giving us this to practice for? So yes, this is very wonderful that we have such amazing sadhana given us by our founder Acharya. So this can be a wonderful meditation at the day of Sri Krishna Rasa Yatra. So I will stop there. I will conclude and ask if there's any questions or comments anyone would like to add. Yes. No.
So, in regards to envy, should we approach the person with folded hands? That's the anecdote. So, but usually you approach somebody like that who is senior. So we see envy often happens with our equals.
Mm.
And so to approach an equal in that way seems to be a bit out of place.
Yes. Well, actually, we're supposed to be the servants of everyone. That's why we call everyone Prabhu. But if the person that you are approaching, sees himself as, well, is very humble and doesn't want to receive service, then you have to find the ways and means to serve him. You have to use your intelligence in this way. It is the surefire way to get rid of envy, to serve the person that you are envious towards. My spiritual master gave me this instruction when I was manifesting an envious nature towards my godbrothers. He said that I should serve all my godbrothers like they are sannyasis. That was his instruction to me. And that instruction saved my spiritual life. So yeah, it is a very, very important and powerful process to somehow or other render some service to the person that you are feeling envious towards. Very purifying. Anything else? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, but I want to continue on that question. How to do it if it seems very.
So can you speak up a bit?
How to do it if it seems very challenging because of the intensity of the relationship, or there's been some really difficult things to swallow. How do you still continue with that same principle and move?
Mm. That is what mentors are for. Sometimes it's good for someone to, it can be good for someone to mediate, between the two individuals involved and explain the situation that, we want the situation to be smoothed over. Is there a way that happen? But yeah. Another thing, they're saying that time is the best healer. So, if there's been some devotees that, clashing and a loggerheads, then maybe it's best before you go to that person and, yeah. Well, first of all, when you go to that person, you should apologize. So offer a sincere, heartfelt apology, like you actually mean it, and then maybe some time, to let things settle down, and then approach the person. Yeah. So, all right. Okay, Hare Krishna. Is there anything from our devotees on the line?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for today's nice lecture and for really bringing out the essential points of this verse. And very nicely told that very important thing, some of which we know that cheating is propensity is inherent to any human being, and that gets manifestation in different activities like marriage, marriage of convenience, and even sometimes gaining some facilities. And the last one you have told about not approaching Krishna to Krishna is also an envy towards oneself. If you don't mind, if you just explain that point a bit better, I just wanted to know on that.
Being envious of oneself.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is spoken about in Bhagavad Gita, actually. It's mentioned, I forget whereabouts now. But yes, that by engaging in activities that deepen the soul, submerge the soul deeper into material existence, this is being envious of oneself, because you don't want the qualities of the soul, to manifest through the process of bhakti. So yes, this is actually, of course, it's not that they're consciously doing that. It can be obviously most people, they don't know the existence of the soul, but just by their performing activities which are detrimental to the soul's natural health, good health, then they're actually being envious. They're performing harm to themselves. Does that make sense, Prabhu?
Oh, okay, thank you, Prabhu. Yes, I was thinking that it is rather ignorance. Thank you for explaining that point. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, it appears there's no other person to make any comments, so the class may be ended. Thank you once again for a very
Okay.
nice class and for bringing out the essential points of this verse so nicely. Thank you once again, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री स्तंभ भाव प्रभु की
Srila
जय।
Prabhupada ki jai.
जय।
Gaur Premanande.
हरि हरि बोल।
Hari Hari. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.